And we are live.
Hello.
We are
Right.
live, ladies.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. Hit it.
Good evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, carnivores and apex predators of the digital realm, welcome to the most ferociously entertaining event of your week. It's Monday, and that can only mean one thing. It's time for the Fierce Felines broadcast. I am your co-host, Laura, from Eat to Your Health with Carnivore.
Get ready to unleash your inner beast as we dive into the wild world of carnivorous content with a dash of humor, a sprinkle of knowledge, and a whole lot of roaring excitement. I'm your host, Robin Heron, your carnivorous grandma.
I'm your host, G Brown, the lifestyle changer, and alongside me in our untamed team of feline fangs, prowling the virtual jungle to bring you the latest in carnivorous escapades, jaw-dropping facts, and a whole lot of fun.
Whether you're a meat-loving carnivore or just curious about the thrilling world of predators, this is the show for you. I'm your co-host, Rhonda, a carnivoreo.
So lock in your coordinates, set your reminders, and sharpen those claws, because every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Fierce Felines are going to whisk you away on a captivating journey into the heart of the wild. Join us for an hour of raw, unfiltered entertainment that's sure to leave you purring with excitement. It's time to pounce on another unforgettable episode of the Fierce Felines. I am Rebecca with Carnivore Family.
All right, welcome everybody. So we're trying something new. Let's get our report from the Carnivore Leo.
All right, so now it's time for carnivore news that we can use. So after last week's live, a question was raised about how to obtain more fat in our carnivore diet. Many of us on carnivore don't feel as optimal and energetic as we should. It's possible that we just need to increase our fat intake. It's important to make sure we are getting fat from the right sources. Fat is important to build and retain vital membranes for all the cells in our bodies. When we consume right types of dietary fats in the right amounts, this provides our bodies with adequate energy. I recently watched a video posted by Alice and Kevin entitled 5 Steps on How to Increase Fat on a Carnivore Diet. So tip number 1 is to add grass-fed butter to your meals. This is probably the most simple way of adding healthy fat to your meal. 1 tablespoon of butter is about 12 grams of fat. Tip number 2 is to cook with other animal fats, such as beef tallow, lard, bacon grease, or ghee. Tip number 3 is to add egg yolks. Each egg yolk is about 5 grams of fat, so it's an easy way to add fat to your meals. Some examples that you can do that, like I add the egg yolk to my soup. So when I make egg drop soup, you can make a hollandaise sauce or add it to the bone broth and froth it to make a fatty latte. Tip number 4 is to include fattier cuts of meat regularly in your diet. Examples of fattier cuts include pork ribs, pork belly, chicken wings, chuck roast, brisket, ground meat such as beef, pork, or lamb, and steak such as ribeye, which is about a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio. You can also get New York strips, T-bones, or chuck eyes, which are a little bit more economical. Another tasty high-fat option are things like chicken skin and beef fat trimmings that you can cook in the oven or an air fryer. In fact, Laura at Eat to Your Health with Carnivore posted a video 4 days ago and demonstrated how she prepares and cooks her ribeye fat bites. She obtains ribeye steaks and ribeye fat trimmings from her local butcher shop. She cuts the ribeye fat trimmings into cubes and freezes them until she's ready to crisp them up in her air fryer. They looked absolutely delicious. So if you haven't seen her video, please check it out. And tip number 5 is to include whole fat dairy if you can tolerate it. These include cheese, milk, yogurt, sour cream, heavy whipping cream, or any source of full fat dairy. So that concludes this segment of carnivore news that we can use. I hope that you find these tips helpful. Now I'm going to hand it over to Robin, who will begin our discussion on feline social stories.
I love that.
Thank
But
you.
really quick,
Yeah.
wait a minute, Robin. Rhonda, I
Yes.
want to touch on that dairy aspect because I don't feel that I get enough fat. And then you sent a message was talking about Robin's meatloaf. So
Mhm.
I actually had some beef that I already had eggs in. So I got that. And I'm always thinking of how to add, and then realized I wasn't tagged in. Ah, y'all finally caught that. I'm like, I didn't cook. Oh, so I was sitting there, Robin, on top of yours. I was like, ooh, and I would add, yeah, I had like 2, 3 extra ingredients. So I think I'm just going to make it when I get back because I don't want it to go to waste. But I was really looking forward to the 5 that you said. And on that fifth one, it might add the fat for me, but it adds the bloat as well. So I
Hmm.
can't
Mhm.
Oh,
tolerate it often. And when I
Yeah.
do, it has to be in some small
Hmm.
increments. But that
Yeah.
the butter, the
I
fat, the
understand.
I'm gonna start adding um I because I didn't think I was doing it right in adding the eggs because my eggs don't turn out looking like y'all egg did. I am not
Can I
like
add something, G? May I add one more thing,
Mhm.
which I forgot to mention? The meatloaf relay that you weren't tagged in. Next time we will ask you if you want to join.
Yeah.
But
Yes. Yeah.
Nia from Nia's Way, she did the last leg of our relay meatloaf recipe today, and I never knew that she made carnivore mashed potatoes with her meatloaf, and it so simple. So the fat trimmings that we pour off the meatloaf, we just
to whip
let
it.
that cool until it becomes a consistency. I don't know, like a soft butter, but it looks like mashed potatoes, and it has all the flavors from the meatloaf in there. And she
Mm.
said, even her husband said that it tastes just like mashed potatoes. So I can't wait to try that. So that's another excellent source of getting extra fat in our diet.
Yep.
she just used the juice and just let it harden a little bit, and then they
The
just
fat,
ate it. They ate it
Yep.
like
Room temperature.
the
Hmm.
fat
And
tripping.
actually, you can take and whip that with like an electric mixer, and it will make the consistency of mashed potatoes.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
y'all first heard it here. You hear me? Y'all first.
Great tip. Now,
Okay,
G,
go
you might
ahead,
be able
Ron.
to tolerate that one. You might be able
Yeah,
Yeah.
to.
yeah. I
Yeah.
can't wait to. I'm gonna go in and say I'm tagging myself, and I'm gonna go and call all y'all out and say, now here's my version. No, go ahead.
Oh my gosh. You should do it. You should do it, G. That would be hilarious. I do want to just comment on about the fat. One of the things that Nia did mention in her meatloaf relay video today was that a lot of people can't handle the liquid fat. And
Yep.
so for her, that was a struggle. And I think I have a little bit of a struggle with that too when it's liquid. But when it's room temperature or firmed up a little bit, it's a little bit easier for the body to handle. And I see Laura over there nodding. So
Yep.
hopefully I'm
Yeah.
sending y'all in the right direction on that one.
Yeah. That's called rendered fat when it's in its liquid form, and a lot of people do get GI upset from that. So, yeah, letting it cool
Mhm.
down a little bit, getting it to room temperature usually is good enough.
Yeah. So I know
Yeah.
that a lot of times if I use a rendered fat, it will give me heartburn.
Hmm.
And I really don't have heartburn on carnivore, but that has in the past given me heartburn when I try to eat rendered fat like that.
Wait a minute. So
So,
before we go forward, so for
hmm
me, I don't have a problem. So let's say I make steak bites. Let's say I make pork bites. I'll take almost a little under a third stick of butter. I'll put it in the bottom of my bowl. Then I'll take everything and pour on top. So you do, and I eat with a spoon. So I don't have a problem doing that.
Rendered.
I do have a problem with cold grease in my mouth. That's that,
Mm-hmm.
that's virtual Vaseline to me. Okay,
Right.
we got to move on. We got to move
All
on.
right. All right. So we are talking about tonight about navigating social situations. And here we are at the holiday season. You know, we just made it through Thanksgiving, hopefully unscathed, and we're going into the Christmas holidays. Today we planned multiple different events. We have all kinds of birthdays in the month of December as well. So navigating social situation is certainly something that we are doing right now during this season,
Mhm.
particularly in my family. Some of the challenges that I've been facing are that there's a lot of events where there is no food there that I want to eat. And I'm also not prepared to fast. So over the weekend, I was at my granddaughter's birthday party. She turned 12 today, and she invited me to stay over at her slumber party. At that party, they had pizza, one of like the best pizzas in town, and then also chicken wings, which were all drenched in different sweet sauces. So what I did was I brought a steak with me. So before I left my house,
Good.
I cooked up a New York strip steak, and I made sure that I would have something there just in case that I would not, that they would not have anything that I could eat. I did end up eating a couple of pizza toppings. Sometimes I'll do that. I don't prefer to eat the tomato sauce really, but sometimes I will eat pizza toppings, and that's not strictly carnivore. So I did do that, and then I ate my steak, and that was perfect. That is a challenge, especially as we're going to the holiday parties and all those different kinds of things. So, you need to strike a balance. So that to me, having a couple of pizza toppings was the balance that I struck for that party. The party was awesome. My first slumber party in probably 40 or 50 years. Not
I
50
thought
years,
you were
probably
gonna
45
say,
years.
"And my last." No.
No,
No, it was
it
fun. It was fun. Yeah,
just
we had a
needed some
great time.
heat.
We needed some heat because their heat, something happened to their heat in the middle of the night, I guess. And so I was like, wow, they really keep their house cold at night. I'm shivering on the bed with the dogs with me, And come to find out, the heat had gone off in the middle of the night. So it was freezing in there. So anyway, it was fun though. We had a great time.
Definitely for me, we also had a birthday party yesterday for my grandson. The oldest one he turned 11 a couple weeks ago. Um, and so I'm a prepper, of course, you guys know, you can see behind me, but I plan ahead accordingly. If ever I'm caught off guard, I just fast. I drink my water. I always have salt, and I'll put that under my tongue. If I even get hungry, I get hungry once a day, so I don't have that real bad. But in the beginning, I did. Pretty much everybody knows after 4 years that this is the way I eat, so they just kind of are used to it. So, what I have done in the beginning, and this is always going to be easier. Sorry for the men out there, but this is easier for women on this because we can take our purse and you could carry cooked bacon, hard-boiled eggs. I've had bags of pork rinds. I've had little containers of butter that I carried with me so that I could use that. I'm trying to think, jerky, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was still trying to make myself eat dairy because I really wanted to not be allergic to it, I would take those little string cheese sticks to places like that. But now I just don't do that. And if like we knew the party was at 2, so I ate my one meal at like 1:30, and it was a whole ribeye with half a pound of ribeye fat, and I wasn't even hungry until like today at 2:30. So that's kind of how I do it. Plus, if I'm going someplace where people don't necessarily know me, I have like 7 different carnivore shirts, and I wear one of those so that I'm a walking billboard because it'll start a conversation with those that don't know you. The ones that do, they're just like, oh, there's another shirt, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. But I think that that helps. And then having conversations. If you're talking to people and they ask you, well, how come you're not having the dip or you're not doing that? I just said from pretty much the start, I have found a healthy way of eating for me that makes me feel optimal. I don't have allergies, joint pain. I don't have any of those things. I don't have depression. And I really do have that conversation. It's like, why would I eat that knowing that I'm going to feel horrible afterwards? So, and I always say, if you like it and it doesn't bother you, enjoy. It
Yeah.
doesn't do that for me. And so I choose to eat this way. And I've never, to this day, it's been 32 years since I had a brownie, and I have never, ever missed one. Never. Not when you can have ribeye. So that's what I recommend.
Okay, well, listen, real quick, guys. I put over in the comments. You guys can go ahead and put any comments or questions that you have. We will address them. And I see that Mr. Brown, he kind of threw this in. December seems to be the month of birthdays. Well,
Yes.
the family, we all got together and we celebrated him last Saturday.
Happy
And
birthday, Frederick.
yeah. And then just he and I are going on a cruise. We leave here Wednesday. And so here's some things that I say. Uh, if someone, especially if you know me, we have our cards, right? Hanging with the Browns has a QR code. Y'all know that my shirts have it on as well. And you can put your camera across it and it'll take you if you want more information. Just like you ladies, of course, we'll have a shirt on, we'll have something on.
Mhm.
But let me make it like super, super, super easy for you. When you at the restaurant, order the plate. Order your meat how you want it prepared. You can even ask for your meat to be on a separate plate. Go ahead and get the sides. They want to bring you the bread. They want to bring you this, that, the other. Yeah, bring me that, this, whatever. Listen, what you can do. You can take those side items to go. You have a friend or something that comes over. They're not all the way with how you eat. Now you have a couple of sides that you can give to them as you eat your meat. You're preparing the meat. There's a couple of sides. We really don't have to overthink this. If it's a plate of hors d'oeuvres, then guess what? Put some firm stuff over there that won't slide across the plate. Find you some cheese and a little bit of it. Eat these things. And it's like, oh yeah, I did. I had some. I mean, and then just kind of go with it. You don't have to draw that much attention. You don't have to, oh my God, don't put this on my plate. You don't have to do one of those things. Yes, and you can just kind of take those things home. Now, the last thing that I normally tell people that know that I'm carnivore, if it's an opportunity that you kind of kick into a fast, I say, honey, I'm up here. I'm burning some thighs. I'm burning some legs right now. Don't worry, I'm over here cooking up a whole lot. Yeah, because you end up burning fat. And I think that is like, for me, the ultimate. I'm like sitting, I'm looking, and I'm saying to myself, oh man, it's been, you know, 18 hours I haven't eaten. And I know the energy that I've used to move around. I done burned from fat because I haven't had any carbs inside of me. I'm walking, getting skinny. I'm having that conversation with myself. So what could you possibly say? I'm not gonna fall out over a potato. Yeah. And that's just another way just to slide with it. Yeah. But if you are in the community, you can find yourself, I think Linktree does it. For me, it's Blink. And you can get your QR code when they go there. You take them to like what you want to share. So for me, Dr. Tony Hampton, Dr. Ken Berry are some of the links. They're right there. So I don't have to worry about just kind of telling you I'm doing meat and then you don't find the proper information that you need if you're interested. So I think that's pretty cool. What you think, Laura? I mean,
Oh,
Rhonda.
oh, okay. So I haven't had any birthdays to attend to this month. However, I do meet with some of my friends from time to time, at restaurants. And just last week, I went out with a couple of my former coworkers. And what I do is I usually am the one to choose the place that we go. And one of my go-to places is the Olive Garden, because the Olive Garden, I asked, I made sure I verified, but I asked them how they cook the steak, and they just put it on the grill. They said they don't use seed oils, even though it might have been seasoned with oil, who knows. But and also they are one of the few restaurants that use real butter. Most places I go to, even other steakhouses, Texas Roadhouse and Black Angus, they don't use real butter. So when you ask for butter, it's not supposed to be the white fluff, whatever stuff. That's not real butter. And I
That's
called them
right.
out on it
Not
before. I said, "Is this butter, real butter?" And they said, "No, it's a spread." So be careful, when you're going out. So that's why I love our Olive Garden in my area. They use the real thing. So what I always order there is steak and shrimp, grilled shrimp on the side. So that's all I have.
So we actually went out to eat yesterday as a family. A lady from church invited us out, and we don't go out to eat very often anymore because where there's a lot of us, and
Yeah.
um, so it's kind of expensive, as well as we don't love the food as much as what we cook at home. But this was one of those cases. This lady had been wanting to have dinner with our family for quite a while, and we really wanted to enjoy that situation. And so part of what we do with the kids is we use it as a teaching opportunity, teaching them how to order the food to get as close to what we would normally eat as possible, and knowing that it's not exactly the same as home, and that's okay. And so it was a steakhouse, and we just went through the menu and, just told each of the kids, here are things that you could pick off of it, and taught them how to order it. And so like 3 of them got a full rack of ribs, of baby back ribs, and they ordered it without sauce. And then everybody ordered without sides. And that for us helps because there's no temptation, and we don't really, we wouldn't have anyone to bring it home to, like you were suggesting, we just don't have company often enough for that to make sense for us. And so that was just to keep it really simple. And the 3 that did that ended up later on ordering melted butter to go with that, because without the sauce, they were a little bit dry. And then so they each got a big bowl of butter, and they drizzled all over their whole rack of ribs. And that was just like 2 11-year-olds and a 14-year-old eating whole racks of ribs. Our waiter was people were getting a kick out of it. The waiter got a kick out of our family, and some of the other people at the table were kind of like kept looking at it. I'm like, guess my kids don't eat chicken nuggets. They eat racks of ribs. And then one of them ordered pork chops with a hamburger patty as a side. And she thought that was great. Although afterwards she was like, I think next time I'll make sure they don't put seasoning on it, because she didn't like the seasoning. And so she made that decision for herself. And then the little kids, I got hamburger patties, or they had a kid's sirloin as an option. And then my husband and I and my oldest son all got like their giant ribeye that we ordered. And it ended up being a great amount of food for us. It was very filling, but it was enjoyable to see my kids ordering the food, asking if, not into great detail, but just asking questions about and thinking through seasoning and sauces and those types of things. And then it came up with the butter on there. I'm like, can we get some butter to put on this? And I'm like, let's ask the waiter. And he's like, sure, like just a melted butter. And they're like, yes, please. Big bowls of melted butter came out, pouring it all over. And it was very interesting. It was great. And so that was a great learning experience. Nobody at the table, if they thought anything about it, they definitely didn't ask any questions. I think they were more marveling at the fact that my kids ate their food. They ate real food. The kids menu is basically like cheeseburger, mac and cheese, chicken tenders, those kinds of things. And I know those are on there because that's probably what most kids order at a restaurant like this. And so I think people were were more just marveling at the fact that, my 7-year-old is like cutting her sirloin and eating it in like this big giant steak knife. Like clearly she's not her first time using a steak knife, and that they were eating it medium rare, and just I'm like, yes, they eat real food. And so that was, and I find most of the time people don't really question us anymore. So they they're more just marvel at it, because it is so unusual to see kids eating real food and having a healthy appetite and being satisfied with that, and not begging for more carbs or more sugar. And so that's basically, we act like it's normal, and nobody seems to question that.
Because
That's
it is
awesome.
normal for you guys.
It's
Yeah.
normal.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, for sure. So on that note, we're just making a shout out here to the people watching. If you have any questions about social situations, or if you have any comments about how you have navigated it and tips that you would like us to share, now is the time to put it in the comments, and we will read them out as we move along with the show.
Perfect. So I was trying to find the comment. Her name is Cheryl. We're friends over on Facebook, and she just said in here, but gee, I thought you were vegan.
We saw that.
Not
Yeah.
no more.
Cheryl, yes. And if you visit the channel, if you want, you can inbox me, and I'll send you a link of a video of what Frederick was looking like January of this year. My husband was on my mother's walker. He went from a limp, a cane, to a full walker. But he wasn't walking on it. It just prevented him from falling over. It took him, like, you have the ensuite. So the bathroom is there. It was like a 20-minute trip. By the time he got to the side of the bed, pulled the walker, and then that process of standing up, where he was in such excruciating pain, and his side of the bed is closest to the bathroom, so he didn't see me pick my phone up and start recording him, because at first I was going to help him. It's like I'm saying to myself, grown man, how long is it taking you to like stand up? And because I had never seen my husband like this. I'm used to this, and now all of a sudden we're barely, being able to move with you. He really needed electric wheelchair. That's what he needed. And so I do have a video where I recorded him, and I turned the volume up so you can hear his as he's like, you can hear the pain. So Cheryl, after that, and we found out about this lifestyle, uh, he was willing to try it because, and I normally had the whole bag of medicine sitting over here with me, because they were pumping him with meds left and right, for gout, for high blood pressure, for this form of arthritis that they didn't know. It's like, is it rheumatoid? It was something that started with an S that he thought it might be, but he wasn't for sure. After they took 13 tubes of blood, and then they needed even more. So this lifestyle has, and I want to use the word save my marriage, even though we weren't going anywhere. But when I say it saved my marriage, it saved us from shopping for a wheelchair, because I'm not rolling nobody. I'm sitting up here trying to walk in cute heels. How I'm sitting up here pushing a wheelchair. So we were just going to upgrade him with an electric one. And so now that we don't have to do any of that, that saved the marriage. We're now smaller than we were for the last 20 years. And this is like a whole new marriage now. And that's why if you follow me on social media and see where I say hashtag never be big again, you will never see me big again. I'm eating right, and I am full, and I am nourished, and I am medication free, and I am standing up with no pain, sitting down with no pain, bending down. And I used to have 10 pops. I probably only, sometimes I get one now. It used to sound like I was popping popcorn when I would bend my knees to get down and get some. Oh my God. It almost was embarrassed. And so now you might get one pop. And so that is why we are on this lifestyle now. It started out 30 days, and we've been this. Yeah, we've been this. I'm going to look over and here. One of the things we wanted to do is give some practical tips on social events, gatherings, dining out. I've already shared you can stand your ground, and well, I think you need to do that with your meat, period. And get that out. And even if, and I was listening, Rebecca, even if you got the sides and tossed them, but I understand why you and your large family did not bring it. Y'all wouldn't even have room on the table.
Yeah. There was no space anyway. Exactly.
Hey, I know. I'm thinking about that, and it's like, well, you know what? Real estate is important. So, but yeah, you can do that. Laura gave some great ideas about, and Robin even calls hers purse bacon. She got a whole name for hers. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So
Rhonda.
I want to say that, I just went out to dinner last night. We went to the Chinese food buffet of all places. And at this place, they do have a hibachi. I was standing in line looking at the butter. That butter wasn't melting. I did end up eating it. I went ahead and I got like shrimp and steak and chicken on my plate, and that's what I eat when we go there. So just order meat. Sometimes people are a little bit curious about that, and I just say I cannot eat carbs. That's the truth for me. That I can't eat carbs because my body physically reacts to those carbs. And even today, with what I know was a seed oil, I had a headache. I didn't feel my best. I had inflammation. I was up like 3 pounds, which I know is not, it's not a real thing, but yet and still that inflammation makes you feel bad. So my thinking is, if people care about you and you feeling your best and being your optimal self, then you should be able to tell them that my body does not react well to those foods. And so I am a person that I don't try to force to talk to people about my way of eating, except for my family. They have to listen to me. So, but I don't try to force anybody to listen. But if they ask me, then they'll get an earful about it. I will tell them all about why I'm doing it and what I'm doing and the benefits of it. And I'm learning more and more as I go along. And so I'm able to talk about my dietary choices, educate. I do wear a shirt that says carnivorous grandma. I sometimes wear a shirt that says I eat only meat, ask me why. And if they ask me why, then I can talk about it, and I can tell them about my dietary choices. But as was said, bring your purse bacon, eat before you go. That's a good one. You should eat before you go. Definitely. That I did do that. I was going to a Christmas party last week, and I made the steak bites, chuck eye steak bites, and I ate a big old bowl of that, and then I went to the party and ate because they had beef and they had chicken and they had salmon, so I was able to eat at the party also. My thing is just be prepared or be prepared to fail. That's my philosophy. Be prepared be prepared to fail. So eat before you go, bring your purse bacon. Like I went to the party over the weekend, I took a steak with me just in case. And I think those are ways that I handle the social events. A lot of times I know that there's not going to be anything there for me to eat, particularly at church events. We're having a Christmas party coming up at church this coming Sunday. They're going to have sandwiches. So I know that they're not going to have anything for me to eat. So I will be bringing my own food to make sure that I, don't go hungry. Not that I would, because I could always fast, as Laura mentioned earlier. You can always fast and just decide not to eat. So, those are just some things that I do. Here we are coming up on Christmas, and the food is going to be crazy, just like it was at Thanksgiving. But this year, we've decided that we're going to do brisket and ribs and, all the meats, and then anybody who wants those sides, they can have that. But I will have plenty of meat there for me to eat. So I'm very, very thankful. My family has been really great about it. They know that I'm on this way of eating. They know that it's beneficial for me because I deal with this hand eczema. And they know every time I have a flare up, they have to listen to me talking about it. So, they're okay. They're okay with me being this way. So I appreciate them too.
Can I just jump in real quick and say, along those lines, one of the things we teach our kids about this is that these events are social in nature. We're going to spend time with these people, to celebrate with these people, to visit. And the food is just part of people gather, there's food, but we're not going to eat. And so if you have to eat beforehand, if you have to bring your own food, all of those things, the eating is no longer why we're going. There was a time when I was like, anywhere I can go and take my kids and not have to prepare food was great. But there was definitely that phase of motherhood when I was like, thank you for one meal I did not have to make. But now I've just changed our focus on it. So we only go to things where we're wanting to socialize with these people and celebrate with them. And the food it's kind of just superfluous to it. And it's kind of nice how that's reframed how we think about social events. Because if it's not good enough to go and not eat, then we probably didn't really want to go in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. Let me show that. Y'all know this is my favorite thing to show. I am actually going to turn this into an intro. Y'all just give me time. But let me just show for those who are new to us, our before and after pictures. Take a look. See that muscle right there?
Mm-mm-mm.
And that's Laura. And that's Carnivore Leo.
Amazing.
Here's the Carnivore family.
Wow.
Beautiful. Wow.
And our carnivorous grandma.
Wow.
And that's, look, all of me.
I love how you're looking like an angel next to your little sexy picture. You got the little angel dress on and then boom.
But so some people do this for the weight loss. But it wasn't that. For me, I'm watching, Frederick those couple of days, and he's like, yeah, the pain is not worse. As a matter of fact, I think it's getting better. This was just after a couple of days, but keep in mind he had eliminated everything prior to. And so he was not getting ready to be all of that and some chips. And I was finna still be the bag of potatoes. That was not working. Because you know what, guys? That's something that I said to him. And I think it was last night that I said, if I had decided it was tonight. If I had decided not to do this diet, which is now my lifestyle, I would have continued eating all of the wrong foods while he's stopping his medicine. I would have still been going over to the pain center. I would have said, wait a minute, you really getting in shape. Let me start dieting which the first thing we do is a calorie deficit, or we go start making smoothies, green tea. We start doing those different things. Now we miserable because you're not going to eat like that for the rest of your life. That's not what you want. And you can say, well, I don't want to eat meat for the rest of my life, but because I'm eating what I'm supposed to eat, that's the only thing that really tastes good to me. And that just blows me away that your taste buds are even changed. It's
That's
like,
right.
yes, you are now doing what you should have been doing. And so I tell people all the time, I don't have a weakness being on the ship, seeing the desserts. I mean, they have all kind of stuff, specialty, you
Hmm.
name it, it's there. The food, it's there. I walk right by it as if all of it was slimy okra. Because y'all know that's the food I don't like. So all of it looks like okra to me. There's no,
Yeah.
ooh, no. You really, really change. You really, really change. Okay, I done
I
took
was
up
just
enough.
talking to my mom over the weekend, and she was telling me how she is craving a steak every day. So she went on carnivore a little bit ago. She kind of has been off of it on and off, but now she craves that steak every day. Just like I do. Today I made liver. So for those of you who don't eat organ meats, I was eating the organ meat. It was so good, you guys. It was so good. But but I wanted a ribeye. I really wanted a ribeye. You just start to really crave that fatty meat, and that's probably the only thing that I'm craving these days. I don't crave any, like over the weekend somebody mentioned brownies, like not having a brownie. That I think was Laura hasn't had a brownie in 20 years or something. Over the weekend they had brownies at the party, and I looked at the brownie. It didn't even register to me as food. Like, you know what I mean? It just did not register as something that I could eat. They had ice cream. They had all the different things, candies and chips and all the stuff. And they didn't even register to me as food anymore. So, but what did register to me is that steak, making sure I had that steak there to be able to eat that. So my mom is craving steak. I'm like, you need to get back on carnivore or at least
Yeah, that's
ketovore,
why you're talking to her.
because, yeah.
Well, let
Yeah.
me
So
see.
that was interesting.
Pursuit of Bliss is asking me, and this I had actually started earlier, wanting to know how did I figure out I wasn't getting enough fat.
Mm.
Well, I know that one of the things that they talk about, because I've been in a weight stall. I can wake up and tell you these 3.5 to 4 pounds is pick which one you want to be on. That's one. And I've been here for like 3 months now. And so I
Mm.
know it's like I'm comfortable in right here that if I increase my fat, also uh when I increase, I look at the meat itself and how much fat is on it. And if I was doing 70/30, I've missed the mark because it's not 30% fat on this piece of meat. So I can kind of look at that and see. And then if we really gonna get personal with it, I find myself having to push harder to have a bowel movement. And so now it's shiny, but the
I'm a
way I
nurse.
had
That
to,
doesn't even bother me.
TMI.
wait a minute,
TMI.
but the way I had to get it out, that was a little bit too much.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
no,
That's
those are
hilarious.
different things that you can look for. You can tell by your stool whether you even drinking enough water or not. Same thing. I thirst now for water. Oh my goodness. And before it, you almost had to like tie me down on the floor and put some water in my mouth. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, this when you're eating what you're supposed to eat, your life is different. Your life
I
is.
notice I feel lower energy when I'm not getting enough fat.
Yep.
And that is a big indicator to me. I'm like, man, I just don't have the zip that I normally do. And I'm like, oh, I've probably been having too much chicken and just different things that are low fat, and I need to compensate somehow.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And
feel my mood is not as good. Like that
Mhm.
carnivore zen, that overall generalized feeling of well-being, I don't have it as much when I don't have enough fat. So I'm really working to try to increase my fat because I want to be able to. That feeling is worth everything. It's amazing. So that is like, yeah, I'm gonna eat some more fat and get that back.
yeah, most definitely. Okay, so we can I don't, well, I'm trying to put up. Wait a minute, I find I do not sleep as well if I'm low on fat too. I'm telling you, everything that they taught us that no, this isn't how it's supposed to be, it goes against everything. Yeah,
Mhm.
it goes
Hmm.
against everything. So I just try and keep
I
that
want to mention one thing that
uh-huh.
that Laura told us about. I have to say this, you guys, because it's absolutely incredible. So Laura was telling us about castor oil. And a couple of weeks ago, I started applying castor oil at night before I go to bed. I put it on my crusty feet. The, First of all, they're not crusty anymore because the castor oil took care of that. But
Yep.
what I noticed is that my sleep, my watch tracks my sleep, and I would get literally like 20 minutes a night of deep sleep. And that is just, and I'd be tired all the time.
Mhm.
But now it really actually like doubled the amount of deep sleep that I'm getting, which I didn't even realize it was going to do that. So thank you, Laura. I really appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
The castor oil is
Castor oil.
really, yeah, castor
What about
oil.
the MCT oil? Do you think that played a part of it as
So
well?
No,
so
it
MCT oil, what I noticed was
turns your brain
MCT
on.
oil gives me energy,
Energy. Yep.
and
Yeah.
it gives me that focus that I need. So I stopped drinking coffee, but the MCT oil helps me with that focus that I need to get going in the morning. I
Hmm.
accidentally took MCT oil one night before bed. I was like, well, I'm going to just
Oh,
increase my fat. I was up all night after taking MCT. Don't take it before bed,
yeah.
but it definitely is a good way to increase your fat,
Yeah.
and also to get that energy, that mind, like brain clarity, get rid of the brain fog in the morning. It really, really helps with that.
Yeah.
So
The
they're doing
medium
two
chain,
opposite things.
they do. They do. The medium chain triglycerides, which is what MCT stands for, actually crosses the blood brain barrier. And so it is like putting ketones right into the brain. And that's why you get that focus, you get that energy, you get that clarity. And then the other, doing the
You left
castor
one
oil,
more thing off
it is just
that you
great.
get the MCT oil.
Well, you have to be
You
careful
can
with the
go to the back.
MCT oil.
Yeah.
You do
Yeah,
too much of it.
I took too much.
I said a teaspoon.
Yeah, I don't listen. I don't listen well, guys. I don't. Okay, well, who is it? Who is it? Rebecca's going to summarize and take us away.
Awesome. All right. So our big takeaway today with social situations, we're going to say it 1,000 times, is be prepared. I love the way that she puts it, that be prepared or be prepared to fail is the best way to
Yeah.
think about it. And that is either going to be picking carefully about where you go out to eat in advance, or eating beforehand, bringing your snacks in your purse, your purse bacon, or for me, I always have a can of sardines in my purse. So
Oh,
I always know I have something that I can eat, and then picking and choosing where you go. And also being open to fasting if you don't have some of that, which should be a lot easier as carnivores than it is when we're always carbohydrate starving. And lastly, just communicate with the people around you. I mean, if it's your family, it's your close friends, tell them about why you changed and that it's a personal decision, how much it's helped you. And if they care about you, they're, for the most part, they're going to understand, even if they think it's wonky. I find that most people are just kind of like, okay, whatever, for the most part. As long as you're not asking something of anybody else, most of the time, most people just don't really care. It's what I have found. So as long as you're not adding burden to other people or expectations for them, they're fine to let people do their own thing. So just those are the big things that I think I had gathered from everyone. And there's different ways to approach it and try different things. But in the end, just remember, this is a decision about your health. You're not there to please anybody else. You don't really owe anybody else an explanation. And
Right.
because this is we're doing this for ourselves and for our health, our families, our futures. And so, in the end, that's who we're responsible to, is the person we have to look at in the mirror, the person that remembers what it felt like before and not wanting to go back to that.
That's excellent.
That's true.
That's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And
Thank
our
you.
next episode 7, we are going to discuss mindful eating and carnivore wellness. So we will be
Okay.
sharing with you guys at that. And Laura's going to give us some closing remarks.
Yes. So we want to thank everybody for watching us, whether you watched us on the live or if you catch us on a replay. Mine usually has to be a replay because for some reason this doesn't stream to my channel. I don't know why. But anyway, we're all here trying to help show different ways that you can do carnivore. None of us is exactly the same. We all come from different places. And it's for our health. And I'm not saying anybody on here didn't. I don't know if anybody was like, I want to do this just to lose weight. I would say, like Rebecca, for your husband's sake. You kind of went on. Same thing with G. It was like watching Frederick, So you have to figure out your why, and you have to really dive into that. I think it's a good thing for you to look inside yourself and see what the issues are that you want to deal with. And then I say follow as many of these doctors. And I'm not saying that, they're the be all end all, but the ones that we have are pretty dang good. And a few of them are
Yes,
kind of
they
nice to look at. I'm just going to say.
Easy on the
So,
eye.
yeah. And some are just
Easy
really
on the
nice,
eyes.
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
Tony Hampton, he is the sweetest guy. I mean, he is so
he is.
level and chill. I'm like, and I am totally the opposite. So I always say, please follow us. I'm Eat to Your Health with Carnivore. Robin is Carnivorous Grandma. Rebecca is Carnivore Family. Rhonda is Carnivore Leo. And G is Hanging with the Browns. So like us, follow us, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way, if we go on and we think we have a pretty good idea or a recipe or like walking, doing exercise, whatever it is that we're doing, or teaching the kids. Rebecca, I see the maps on the back of the wall and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. So I think any of that kind of stuff is nice to follow. And G, you and Frederick going on, like Wednesdays, that's really cool to watch. So I say go out there and find your tribe. And there are plenty of people out there that are doing this that you can follow. So that's what I would recommend. And I think you'll be on your way.
All right, guys. See you. Talk to the ones way over there. See you guys next Monday.
Bye.
Bye,
See ya.
everybody.